Testing, testing. There we go. Hi. I'm new to live streaming, and I am Paul Skidmore, and I am a filmmaker and author in Tennessee in the United States. And I am also learning a lot about the newest AI tools, trying to learn everything that I can. And so I'm building something tonight. I'm live streaming it. I want to build in public. I want to live stream a couple of times a week, maybe every day. And I've been wanting to do it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm just now getting around to doing it. And I'm just doing it. I'm not making it perfect. I'm just pulling the trigger, and we're doing things. So the first thing I need to do is add this microphone to this other view that I have over here before we continue. So I'm going to add audio, and I'm going to add the Hollyland Lark. Which, by the way, I have these Hollyland Lark A1 microphones. They come with a USB-C, or you can get it for Lightning if you have an older phone, but they come with a USB-C receiver, and they are they just magnet into the case, and they charge in the case, and they have a little magnetic backing. And I know you've seen a lot of these little tiny mics like this, but look how tiny this is. It's super tiny. And so I'm wearing it right here. But they come two in a case, and the really amazing thing is you can get some, pretty good sounding mics for a couple $100. These were like $40 or something, $45, $30, something. Very cheap. All right, I've got my Apple TV on. I'm going to log into YouTube and just make sure I have a picture, make sure that people can hear me. Looks like I'm logged in and streaming to the right places, but we'll see. I'm using Restream, so I should be going to, I'll use my phone too to check on X. I should be live streaming on X right now also. So let's just look and see if I'm actually doing that or not. Oh, that's cool. Actually, do want to watch that later. Live. Will I show up in my own live feeds? What I'm going to be building tonight. Oh, yeah, Skidmore is live. I'll just join my own feed real quick. Yeah. Okay. Nice. All right. Well, I'm just going to have to take for granted that it's streaming on YouTube because I can't make heads or tails of this while I'm trying to stream. All right. So I've been using a lot of the latest AI tools, and back in late February, early March, I decided to jump on the OpenClaw train. I started on a 2009 iMac, really old computer. It took me a while to get it working on the really old computer, but once I did, I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun building it out. I already had personal assistants before that, but they lived in ChatGPT projects, and so it was pretty easy to move them over to OpenClaw. And once I did, it just opened up their capabilities and what they were able to do. And we were able to have staff meetings, and they were finally able to talk to each other and share information without me copying and pasting things out of chats and stuff like that. And these are all probably things that you can do just in ChatGPT now, but you could not do it in February, March, or at least I didn't know of any easy way to do it. Maybe you could have done it in Codex or something, but I really wasn't using Codex yet. So since that time, I've learned to use Codex a little bit. I've learned to use Claude and Claude Code. I really had not used Claude at all. And I don't use it a ton, but Fable 5 is pretty good for planning things, so I'll use it every now and then. I really like ChatGPT 5.6 Sol, particularly on high or X high. It's a little chaotic, but I just think what it comes back with is pretty good. Claude is better about sort of holding on to a task and seeing it all the way through, but I don't know that the output is better. In fact, sometimes it's worse. And Fable is pretty good, but it's expensive to use, and I'm not on the most expensive plan with Claude. But anyway, so I use a ton of usage every day. I will just real quick, I'll pull up my Telegram just so you can kind of see my agents, and I'll just briefly tell you what I got, and then we'll get right into what it is that I'm building tonight. So let's turn off Discord there. Okay, this is really not the most efficient way to do this. I guess I could do it like this. Let me move this over, and then we'll make this bigger. Hey, there we go. This is better than nothing. Okay. So now you can still see me and you can see Telegram. So what I have in my Telegram here, at the top here is Beatrice, and she's pinned to the top because she is my personal assistant. The rest of these are sort of specialty assistants. She's my personal assistant. She is the chief of staff. So when we do staff meetings, she runs the staff meetings and gets input from everyone else and coordinates everything. And so Beatrice plans my day. We do a process where we start in the morning. We do something called morning vision, and it's just sort of a mindset thing, gets me in a positive mindset. Then we do something called daily work visioning. We plan out my itinerary for the day. And we're not starting from scratch on that every day, because every Monday we have a full staff meeting and we plan out the week. And the first Monday of every month, we have what's called a monthly reflection and forecast, or an MRF, which if you've seen Arrested Development, you'll know is called a Mr. F. And so we do the MRFs on the first Monday of every month. And I have a strategic plan that I did last fall for this whole year, and I'll be making a new yearly strategic plan next month, at the end of next month, to begin October 2026. So I have a yearly plan, which makes monthly plans, which makes weekly plans, which makes daily plans. So now we've been doing this so long, and she kind of knows the projects that I'm working on and where I am in the middle of those and that sort of thing, that she can make my itinerary for me, and then we just tweak it when I get to daily work visioning. But because she's so good at guessing my itinerary already, I've had her, we just started this today, she makes me a morning paper. And so I just wake up and this is sitting in the printer, and it's got like the big thing that we're going to do today. It's got a checklist of my whole itinerary that I can check off as I go. Look at me, things I got checked off today. That was a big dopamine hit, although I haven't done the really big thing yet, which is this live stream that I'm doing. And then on the back, there's some learning things and a Dilbert cartoon and a crossword puzzle, because that's the main reason I liked getting the paper when I used to get a paper, was for the crossword puzzle. So it's nice to do those. But up here is, I have two agents that give me a morning briefing. And so this is just an extremely short summary of their morning briefing. I'll probably change this to something else later, but that's what it is now. And then these little ones right here is these little lessons. I have little micro lesson things that I do. I need to get my Part 107 license, which is to fly, take the learning seriously and take the exam. And then this other one is just called AI Workshop, and it's just learning AI stuff. I started that back when I really didn't know anything. And anyway, so I probably need to tweak that. But today's is relevant for what we're doing. But it just teaches me some terminology or a technique or a new plugin that's come out, or something like that. So anyway, yeah. And it's called Il Camino Quotidiano, meaning the day's journey, because Beatrice is Italian. She's named after Beatrice Portinari, which was Dante's guide to paradise in the Paradiso, the Divine Comedy. And so that's why this is in Italian, and it's got some little references to that on there. And then I'm a person of faith, so it's got a little scripture encouragement thing down here at the bottom. It's got the weather. Anyway, it's just a really cool thing to wake up to. But Beatrice plans my day, and it kind of keeps me motivated and keeps me on task throughout the day, which I need. I don't know if I am neuroatypical or ADHD or autistic or whatever all the kids are today. I'll be 48 in a couple of weeks, and we didn't have all that when I was a kid. I was just a weird, rude person with a keychain collection. So I didn't really get a label or get any help or drugs or anything like that. So I've just been sort of raw dogging it my whole life with whatever it is that's going on in this thing. But the superpowers that I have, I can envision a thing, and I can see the big vision, and I can see all the little details that need to be done. Like I can see immediately from the big vision down to the details. And when it comes to doing, I can plan the big vision stuff and start sculpting that out. Or I can get lost in a particular task and get in a flow state and really just start sort of working on one thing. Lately, I've been actually pretty good at kind of multitasking, because you'll give an agent something to do and then it'll be busy for a couple minutes. And so I'll go to another agent and give them something to do. So I'm kind of bouncing around between 4 and 5 projects that I'm working on, typically personal things for myself. But anyway, so I'm real good at the vision stuff, and I'm real good at flow stating on the details. And it's the stuff in the middle where I get lost and I get distracted. Not so much distracted, but I just get sort of overwhelmed. A real world example of how I get overwhelmed would be with laundry. Okay, I've got all my t-shirts, they're clean. They need to be folded and put away. Simple enough, right? Okay, so do I do them by color, and do I do them by lighter color to darker color, or by most likely to wear to less likely to wear? Do I do it by like funny, solid color, graphic, like what, thinking of all the possible ways I could organize it. And of course, my brain would like to take all of those factors into account and find the perfect way to put and so I end up with a pile of clean clothes in the floor at the foot of my bed, which is basically how I've been operating for several months. But you know what? That works. I can find all the shirts. At some point, I just realized this process is working. And the only reason I have anxiety about this is because I'm telling myself this shouldn't be the process. But this is working. So I just one day decided this is the process. The clothes will just be in a pile and I'll just pick them out of a pile. In fact, when I build my dream house, I have designed the laundry room is just going to be the washer and dryer and then like tables and big open shelves where we'll just toss the clothes. And then that'll be it. And it's right by the master bathroom. So when I get out of the shower in the morning, I'll just go in there, pick things out of the piles. I can dig around. I can see what I'm looking at. And then that's it. That'll be the process. So anyway, that's laundry. That's how difficult it is for me to think about my t-shirts. So now imagine a huge project like a film or publishing a book or a marketing campaign or dealing with client work, freelance stuff that I need to do. I can get pretty overwhelmed with it. And if I have good help, then I do well. So I have really good help with my filmmaking. I have friends that I can bounce off marketing stuff or possibly pay them to do some work from time to time. I used to have a really great editor, and he's still around and he's still a great editor, but he has a full-time job. And so I just really don't get to give him a lot of work. And so I've got to edit myself, and I don't like editing. I don't want to do it anymore. And so that's what we're building tonight is we're going to build an editing agent. So here's the rest of my my agents. We'll just go down the list in no particular order. Don is based off Don Draper from Mad Men. He's my marketing guy. Colette is based off Colette Tattoo from Ratatouille. She is my personal chef. Nutritionist. Obviously, she's not actually cooking things for me, but she's doing recipes, she's doing meal plans, she's tracking my grocery orders, like what's coming in and keeping an inventory. And as I eat stuff, she's taking stuff out of the inventory and then telling me when it's time to reorder things. And so that's pretty cool. Alfred, of course, is Alfred from Batman. I specifically picked the one who played Alfred in the Michael Keaton Batman movies because that was, kind of what I grew up with. Andy is Andy Dufresne. He's my financial guy. And Richard is based off of Richard Hendricks from the HBO show Silicon Valley, which is created by Mike Judge, who has created a lot of things that I've loved over the years, like Office Space and Beavis and Butthead, but most of all, King of the Hill, which, by the way, the most recent season of King of the Hill has been really good. The first new season was good, but this second season, that's season 15, is really good. It's really good. So Beatrice, Don, Colette, Alfred, Andy, Richard. This is my main team. Under that is a Russian influencer girl that I follow. Ignore her. The next is Mark Watney, and Mark is this is the character. This is Matt Damon's character from The Martian, the movie The Martian. And I have a friend that is running a space-related project, and I'm helping him with it, and it didn't really seem to fit in with any one of my agents. So I was like, you know what, I'll make a client-specific agent. So I think I'm going to start doing that as well for clients that have a lot of work. I have a client-specific agent. And so anyway, this is Telegram. So in Telegram, I can text them all individually, and we can share images and documents and links and things like that. And you could do this in iMessage. When I first started on that old iMac, I could not use iMessage because the iMac was too old. And so I started using Telegram. And now that I'm able to use iMessage with this, I still just am using Telegram because I kind of like having it in its own app. Like that's pretty much all I do in Telegram is talk to my agents. So that's Telegram. So now then, I will show you Discord, I guess. I'll turn Telegram off, and I'll have to shrink this back down. Something like that. Move it down. Okay, so this is Discord, and I don't even know what you're looking at here. Oh, I'm building an app called Narrator Pad, which actually you see running. You don't see it on this screen, but if we go back to just the FaceTime cam, this little title bar right here is created by Narrator Pad, because a lot of the live streaming I want to do, I'll be doing it at Starbucks. I won't be able to talk out loud. First of all, I don't want to talk out loud in front of other people. Second of all, they don't want to listen to it. But the really the nail in the coffin is the trademark music that is playing over the speaker that will be right over my head whenever I do this. So I won't be able to use any audio. So I had my agents create Narrator Pad for me. Nope, that's my mail. I had my agents create Narrator Pad for me, which allows me to type something. Oh, 1 second. I'll close all these little windows here. Okay. Allows me to type something into this box, and then when I hit Command Return, it puts it on the screen and it speaks it. So I don't know if that actually came across.
Type something into this box.
Okay, so it took it a minute to do, but anyway, there it is. And I'm still working on that, but it will allow me to live stream at Starbucks or other places where sound is an issue. And that way I can still kind of communicate with people in the chat, both audibly and on screen. And we're making this an open source project so that other people can download it and fork it and use it or whatever. Maybe it'll help people who are deaf live streaming. That would be cool if they want to use it for that. It's not really what I made it for, but if it can be used for that, fantastic. Anyway, so Narrator Pad is working. So when you're looking here at Discord, this is what we're talking about. And so what I use Discord for is a place for multiple agents to talk together. So this began way back up here at the top of the chat with me and Richard. Richard's my development guy, but I'm also talking with Don Draper because Don was the one who made the app in the first place. I just asked him a question. Hey, is there some way that I can live stream and have it type on the screen and also speak over the live stream? I was just asking, can we do it? And his next message was like, it's in Dropbox, download it. And so I had an app all of a sudden. So anyway, we started sort of lightly developing that. It's super simple. Very little's been done with it, but you know, we're on version 1.3 or 0.1.3 or whatever. It's still an alpha kind of thing. If you'd like to alpha test it, let me know. But over here in the sidebar, you'll see I have staff meeting. So this is for full team staff meetings. The most recent one was our daily stand-up today. So here you see, yeah, today's the 10th. So here, August 10th, 2026, Beatrice pops in and she says, here's the roadmap. Here's what we're doing. She mentions everyone by their name and then tells them to load their agendas in. So your communication that you have in Telegram and your communication that you have in Discord, those are separate sessions for OpenClaw. So you have your Telegram session and your Discord session. Those sessions are pulling from your OpenClaw files, from your the core identity files, plus any saved memories, files you have saved, and your Dropbox, your tools, your plugins. So it's pulling from the same brain, sort of. It's pulling from the same long-term memory, but each session is its own short-term memory. So if I mention something in Telegram and go right over to Discord and ask about it, there's not a connection there. But OpenClaw is much better now at being able to search across sessions, and so it feels now like everything's a little more integrated. But the bottom line is sessions are still pretty independent. So for these meetings, the Telegram session has all the context because I'm talking to them all day long in Telegram. And so in that context, then they are early in the morning creating their agenda for these staff meetings. So we have a daily stand-up every morning. And so when we come into Discord for the stand-up, they pull that agenda in, and now any context that they need from Telegram is now here in this Discord session, in this staff meeting session. Because each of these channels in Discord are also separate sessions. So just because we talk about something in staff meeting doesn't mean that information is going to make it down to one of these project sessions. So you got to have some way of sort of moving that around and making sure that it gets from session to session correctly. So that's why we do these staff meetings. So you can see Beatrice, by the way, I did not come into Discord and tell her to do this. It was time to do the daily stand-up from Telegram. She started the meeting in Discord, called everybody into the meeting. They all read their agendas into memory, and then she went through and asked them questions, and they gave responses. She asked for corrections from everybody, And then everybody wrote their notes back into their agenda, because then what we do is we go back into Telegram, we have them read the agendas back in. So any assignments or new notes or corrections or changes or whatever are now back in the Telegram session, because they might change something based on what another agent has to say in the stand-up or in the staff meeting. And so that's what you see here in the staff meeting. And that's all this channel is just full team weekly meetings. We actually did our weekly staff meeting yesterday to prepare for this week. We did a stand-up this morning. We'll do a stand-up tomorrow morning before work gets started in earnest. Anyway, so that's the full team channel. And then I've got different channels for different projects. So the narrator pad thing I was just showing you, that's its own project. I'm designing my dream house with Alfred, and so we've got our own project on that. This one's cool. This is about creative scouts. So Richard Hendricks, my developer, remember he's based off of Richard Hendricks from Silicon Valley, the TV show. I decided he needed some specific subagents that would focus on certain things. So we took the other main characters from the show, like Guilfoyle and Dinesh and the whole crew, and we made agents for them as well. I can't text them. I can't text them in Telegram. I can't text them in Discord. I could make bots for them if I wanted to be able to do that, but they're not for me. They're for Richard. But they're full agents. They're not just sub-agents running in the background. They're full agents, so they have their own identity files, their own personality, their own sessions, their own memories. And what we've set up for them is every night they essentially go out and do homework, and they each have sort of a zone in which they will do homework, and it's just like from the show. So Guilfoyle is tasked with taking care of architecture and security for the things that we build. So his homework is related to that, going out and looking at the latest, exploit trends and which models are best at finding them and things like that. Dinesh is in charge of UI, UX, any sort of user-facing type things, video chat, audio chat, things like that. So his job is to go out and look for, new things, new ways of doing that. Monica is sort of the customer liaison, the client liaison kind of thing. She's also interested in the aesthetics. What does it look like? How does it feel? Is it sellable? And so her homework assignment is to go and look at beautiful things and go and build sort of an aesthetic taste. And so she'll go and look at several things and then write sort of lessons about them. They each learn from sort of what they find. And they just keep a catalog, and it's just going to sort of build over time. I even have Big Head and Ehrlich as members of his team. Big Head is responsible for Delight. So hopefully his input will make apps fun to use and not just be a cold functional, ChatGPT looking app, but it'll actually be fun and surprising in ways that are delightful for the customer. And so he's tasked with finding out things about Delight and human psychology and things like that. Ehrlich is tasked with specifically avoiding development related topics. So, he's supposed to look up medieval history or, the reproductive process of the octopus or whatever, just anything that is just bizarre and off the wall. He's our wild. He's the one that comes in and says, hey, I learned this thing about, medieval fences. And they used to wind, this is his homework he did last night, by the way. They used to wind like this, and they took up more space, but they used less bricks, and they were just as sturdy. And so they used a resource that they had a lot of, which was space, to make up for a resource that was more costly to obtain, which is the bricks or the stones. And so by using an alternative architecture mechanism, they made good use of the resource they had a lot of in exchange for a resource that they had less of. So you hear already from learning this bizarre thing that seems like it's not related to anything, he's come up with a principle that we should look for. So I'm hoping his input will always help us expand our ideas into things that we wouldn't have normally thought of. So anyway, so Richard has his own Pied Piper team, and then Don Draper now has his own Sterling Cooper team, and they also have their nightly homework that are specific to their endeavors. Peggy, of course, is the copywriter, so she is in charge of learning about writing, but also just reading things. I want her to read poetry, and I want her to read Flannery O'Connor and Cormac McCarthy and Hemingway and C.S. Lewis and G.K. Chesterton. I want her to learn what good writing is, and especially if she reads like poetry and things like that. I'm hoping that the stuff that she writes will not be AI slop sounding stuff, but will actually be, some interesting things. I still like writing a lot of the copy, for the marketing stuff that I do. I think a human being probably really kind of should do that if you want to connect with other human beings, really. But I need first drafts. Give me a first draft that I can edit. And so if Peggy's writing me really good first draft stuff that's already kind of in my voice, she has a sample of my writing. She tries to write things in my voice when requested. So anyway, so that's her homework assignment is to learn about writing, but to just read and learn from that. Stan is our art guy, and so Stan is looking at museums and architecture and design and print design and Saul Bass opening titles or whatever, and just learning whatever he can from stuff like that. So anyway, that's what this project is. This Creative Scouts was figuring out, okay, how do we implement this? How do we do this so they're actually learning from it, that they're actually learning something that's useful that can be brought into other project discussions and things like that. Will it actually help? Will it make things better? I don't know. A lot of people have explained all these agents that I have, because including these two teams, I have something like 30 agents or something, and people are like, but can't just one agent do all those things? And the answer is probably, but it wouldn't be as fun as this. I mean, this is kind of fun. And for me, that's a big thing about getting work done, is like, it needs to be fun to do. Like if you can do it, if you can do it well and correctly, and you can do it well and correctly and fun, then why wouldn't you do it well, correctly, and fun? Why wouldn't you do it the fun way, So we're doing it the fun way. So that's what this is. So anyway, that's what all these projects are over here. Different dashboards. I can pull up one dashboard for you. Excuse me. I know everybody makes a dashboard, and some people spend like way too long making a dashboard instead of like getting work done. But I'll show you a couple of things that are underway. It's not super well developed, but I'll show you what I got. But to do that, I need to click on this, and I need to add a screen here. So we're going to add a macOS screen capture, and this is going to be a application capture on the display called Built-in Retina, and the application is going to be Safari. And we'll say okay, and then we will resize to fit to screen, and oh, that's pretty good. Let's rename it Safari, and we'll pull it down to the bottom, and we'll turn off Discord, and we'll cut. Okay, there, now you can see it. So this is the dashboard. This was the first one that I made with Beatrice, and I really just made it to see, can we do it? And what all can I do? This is when I was trying to figure out, I just moved it over to OpenClaw. I just now was like, okay, I want to learn how to do codex things and coding things. Let's build something. And so I just started taking things from my calendar and putting it on there, the itinerary that we make in our process every day. Let's put a weather widget on there so I know today's weather. Here in the middle, at the bottom, you'll see is a bills calendar, and I have my bills for like monthly repeating bills. I have that on my calendar, and I have it all in its own calendar. And it's just the name of the bill and the rough dollar amount, just so I can kind of eyeball it, looking ahead and go, ooh, I need to make sure I got enough money in that account before that comes up. And so I pulled that out of my regular calendar events and put it in its own box. And then I saw all the numbers there, and I was like, hey, I bet we can add that up and I can have a total. And so she immediately put the total on there for me very quickly. And I thought, this is probably something that people that actually know how to manage money do all the time. But this was like the first time that I could actually see, oh, here's all my bills for the upcoming week. This check that I'm about to get, here's how much of it is already spent, on these bills or whatever. So that's when I realized, oh, this dashboard, this can really actually help me if there's some useful things here. So anyway, Beatrice's dashboard is very general. It's got the itinerary, so where I'm at for the day. She makes me a nice little image for me. And so like today, she knew that I was creating this editing agent. So if you look at the screen on the laptop in that image, it's like a little, DaVinci Resolve or, editing timeline, which is kind of neat. And then our anchor word for the day, dare, which came out of our morning session this morning. This calendar in the center at the top, which says Rise. That is the Rise app is something that I use to track my sleep debt, which tracks my energy and or guesses at my energy for the day and guesses like when my energy peaks are going to be and when my energy dips are going to be. And so my lights are going out because I'm supposed to be in bed right now. I may have to wait for them to go completely out. But anyway, so this box shows me what state I'm currently in and which one is coming up. So right now I'm in the wind down phase, and then 9:38 to 10:38 is my melatonin window. This is the ideal time for me to go to sleep because supposedly that's when my melatonin is the highest and I have the best chance of falling asleep if I go to bed at that time. Okay, lights are coming back on. I don't know if any of these others are worth looking at. You see each agent has a tab. I'll skip over here to the final tab here, this workbench. This has a bunch of stuff at the top that we just need to get rid of, but let's get down here to the interesting part. So they create a lot of documents that they just store in OpenClaw, and I created a thing called the workbench, which we have an inbox, which just holds little one-line things, but then we also have a workbench, and the workbench has a queue and a staging area, and those are for markdown documents. So if we're working on a project, this was before I was really using Discord a lot. If we're working on a project, I would say let's make a document of this so we can keep track. It was a way of sort of really hardening up the memory. It'll auto write things to memory, and it's pretty good about remembering stuff. OpenClaw system is, but I don't want it to be pretty good. I need to write down things and remember it, to take notes, that sort of thing. And so the staging area of the workbench was for stuff that was in progress, and the queue obviously was for things that we're going to get to eventually. But if I send it an article and say, hey, just stick this in the queue, we'll talk about it some other time, things like that. So then I had it make this interface, which may be kind of hard to tell. Ignore the thing at the very top, but see this sidebar over here? It makes it kind of like a mail app. So if I go to all, I can filter by who owns what document. Here's where I'm, looking at just sort of like a little preview of the document. I can click on any one and it brings the document up in this area here. And then there's a sidebar over here where I can change the owner, I can change the status, I can add notes that sync from all my devices and things like that. So I can look at the inbox and see little one-line things to do. I can look at the queue for, different projects that I want to do, and I can look at the staging area for things that are currently supposedly in progress. This needs a lot of cleanup, but anyway, you get the idea. So that's the workbench tab, which is sort of a full team tab. Colette has a health tab. We're still changing some things on that, but what it does have so far is what I should be doing right now, what I should be doing in the next 2 to 12 hours. And then it's got my whole meal plan basically for the week. She has a rolling 7-day meal plan based on what she knows that I have in stock. And she has some body vital stuff, but none of this is very good. We need to fix a lot of this stuff. And then somewhere down here, she's got an inventory of the food, but I think that's hidden. So we also keep track of the inventory in Notion. Andy has a decent dashboard for money. I'm not going to show you that because it's got all my financial stuff in it. Alfred also has one that is things that need to be taken care of at home, like the household to do. And when I've done it, then I would mark done. So like I've done the kitchen reset for this week. So I would click done. And now he knows, okay, great, that's done. The Monday Smyrna towel batch exchange, I already did that. So done, that's done. Daily surface rescue. Yeah, I've pretty much done that. So that's done. And the transition threshold check. I'm going to save that one because I could probably do a little bit of that before I go to bed. So I'm going to keep that. So this just allows me to, I don't know what's unstable. I don't know what, but anyway, this allows me to kind of go through whatever's due for the day. And he keeps a log of like, this day is for the kitchen, and this day is for the bedroom and bathroom, and this day is for the home office, this day is for the yard, things like that. So that way I don't feel so overwhelmed by all the things that need to be done at the house, but I can just go, hey, what's the 15-minute, 30-minute thing I need to do today? And I try to do it. I'm not real good about doing it. But the thing with Colette and with Alfred is I'm trying to train them and build systems for them so that when, Lord willing, I am able to afford a robot, I can put those brains in the robot bodies and they can cook and they can clean because they'll already have all the processes. They already know where everything is. They already know all the things that need to be done. etc. I also have a thing that goes around my neck so that'll hold my phone for filming, so that's hands-free. And I'm doing different tasks with that and filming videos for that, certain meals that I like cooked or whatever. So that way those videos can be used for training for my robots. They can look at that and see how to do things. I don't know. I don't know if that'll work. Hopefully it will. Okay, I really only have a few more minutes here. So I want to do what we came here to do, which is to create a new agent. So the agent that I want to create is an editing agent. And one of my favorite movies about filmmaking is called State and Maine. And it's this Hollywood movie, comes to this little town in Vermont and sort of takes over the little tiny town. And it's written and directed by David Mamet. It's absolutely hilarious. The cast is incredible. It's Alec Baldwin, Sarah Jessica Parker, William H. Macy, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Patty LuPone. I mean, it's just David Paymer, Jonathan Katz. Excellent cast, incredible cast. Julia, she was in that breakdancing movie. Anyway, really great cast. So the one person on the film crew that's not in the film, though, is the editor, unfortunately. But there is a woman that lives in the town, and she pairs up with the screenwriter, who's played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, and she helps him edit the script. And because he has to make some changes now that they've changed towns. They came from some other town, and now they're having to film it in this new town. And so he's having to make some changes to the script, and she's helping him make the changes. She is the director of the local theater and some other things. So anyway, she's an interesting character. And since there's not really an editor character and there's not really a script supervisor character in the movie, she's the closest one from that film that I think would be an editor. So her character's name is Anne Black. So Philip Seymour Hoffman, he's Joseph Turner White, and he's the writer, and she's Anne Black, and she's helping him edit the script. So they're black and white together, which I think is pretty funny. And also, I've seen that movie a bunch of times and never noticed it until the last week when I was planning this, that he was white and she was black. Anyway, so Anne Black is the name of our editing agent that I'm going to create. So what I want it to be able to do is I have several clients for whom I'm filming like social media videos, or I'm recording some social media videos, or they're giving me some raw stuff or whatever. And what I want to be able to do is take the raw video and stick it in a folder and have her bring it in, ingest it, label everything properly. And if there's a script, attach it, analyze the script and analyze the video, and then bring it into a timeline, chop it up the way it's supposed to be. At some point, I come in and take a look at what she's done and make some changes or edit it myself a little bit and then hand it back. And then she finishes it up with color and sound and music and titles, motion graphics, zooms, in and out, whatever, and then exporting everything to a place where it then can be published. And then at that point, ideally, Don Draper and his team would take that finished content and would publish it to all of the socials at the right time or whatever. So big task that I want to do here. I don't suspect that we'll finish it in the few minutes that I would like to spend on this tonight. I don't even know that we will necessarily create anything tonight, but what I want to do is start mapping out what it is that I want her to be able to do. That's what I want to do. So I'm just going to look at this chat box here. Oh, these are all separate. I don't guess it matters. Oh, the restream is all channels. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I've got my super technical whiteboard here, and I'm dog sitting, so there's a dog at my feet that's just out of frame. Hi. Guess what? This moment is not about you, as are most moments when you want to be having attention. Can you get in your bed, please? And just lie down? Can you lie down? Good girl. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get me a flip chart Sharpie. I'm not sponsored by Sharpie, but Sharpie, if you want to sponsor me. Okay. And these are old. I have some new ones over here, so if these don't write, that's okay. So her name is Anne Black. Oh yeah, that's no good. Ditch that one. Let's try this one. No, that one's worse. No problem. I have a pack of all black Sharpie flip chart markers. I guess that's why I bought this a million years ago. Hi, these are not for you. You cannot eat them. It's a marker. Get in your bed, please, and lie down. Can you lie down, please? Can you lie down? Hey, psst. Lie down. Go to bed. Thank you. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, stay. Oh, yeah. Look at that. And black. Hey, in the bed. Lie down. Lie down. Lie down. Or I'm going to send you to the other room. Thank you. Stay there. All right. And black. So that's her name. And we're going to be using DaVinci Resolve. So you can set up an OpenClaw system to basically edit itself, sort of under the hood, and use things like FFmpeg and do things on its own. But I don't want to do it that way because I want to be able to take hold of it, or I want to be able to go in and make a quick change. One of the things that I've noticed about computer use is right now it's still pretty clunky and slow, but it's getting better and it does work. So this is the kind of thing where if I'm in a hurry, it's easier for me to just do it myself. But if this is something where I'm out filming and I can put it in a folder and it's being processed very slowly, but then I wake up the next morning and I sit down and I've got timelines to look at, that's a big deal. It's that's better than me having to do it, right? So but I want to be able to use DaVinci Resolve because I want to be able to take it over. The other thing about DaVinci Resolve is if I use Blackmagic Cloud, which I try to use for everything, then it will sync proxies between any device. So even though I'm doing it on my Mac Studio in my home office in the other room, I can view it here on my MacBook Air and it'll download the proxies, and I still have a pretty good looking timeline. I might not want to use it for selecting sharp focus. I can't use it for color grading if I've shot raw. I can't do that. But I can do a number of things with it. I can do a lot of things with it. So so that's why I want to use DaVinci Resolve and Blackmagic Cloud. So so now what I want to do is I'm going to think about the process of how I would have an assistant editor or an editor edit something for me. I'm going to kind of like rough that process out here. And then I'm going to put the details sort of out here. And then this will give me kind of like steps to implement. Because that's the thing is I can't just like, I'm not going to be able to one-shot this, right? I'm not going to be able to write a big giant prompt and dump it in and it's going to work out of the gate. Even if I thought I could get close that way, that's not really the way I want to do it. What I'd like to do is sort of implement it step by step, make sure each step works, and then we'll add on to it. And so this will be a collection of skills essentially. So rather than one video editing skill, what we'll have is, a project creation skill, a footage import skill, an assembly skill, a rough cut skill, a fine cut skill, a music creation skill, a sound editing, sound mixing skill, and so on, right? Okay. So what is the process? The process is I shoot some stuff and I bring it back and I put it on this computer. So, oh, you know what? Here's how we should do this. We should do this by the pages inside DaVinci Resolve. Hi, come with me, please. Come on. Come on. Go lie down on your futon. Thank you. Go lie down. Sorry, I have a dog at my feet constantly. All right, this will be better. So I'm going to use the pages inside DaVinci Resolve to do this. So the first page is the media pool, page. Well, actually, even before that, before you even get to that, there's the login. So there is the we'll call this a project. So I need a project, create, or open. So we need to navigate the project screen. And then we get to the media page. And this is where everything is ingested, organized into folders, metadata, tag, all that stuff. Then there's the cut and the edit page. And if you've never used DaVinci Resolve, cut and edit are actually sort of different. Cut is for doing quick cuts. Cut is good for news that's used to using like 2 decks and cutting quickly, or bringing stuff in and sort of doing things old school iMovie style. But it can also be good for doing assemblies. Because you're pretty focused in what you're doing. There's not a whole lot of zooming in, zooming out. You're just sort of like focused right on the one cut that you're working on, and you're dumping things in. You can actually do a lot in the cut page in terms of stabilizing and audio and things like that. But really, it's just meant for quick cutting. So I'm going to put it as a page, even though I don't know that she will necessarily use it. But the ideas for assembly, maybe that goes under cut. So anyway, we'll just put it here. So this is the cut page, and then right under that, we'll put the edit page. This is obviously where most of the magic is going to happen. There's going to be a lot happening here. This is where our timeline is. This is where any motion graphics are going to at least be started from. This is where music is going to end up. This is where sound is going to end up, even though we're going to mix it on another page, even though we might create the music somewhere else and bring it in. This is here. Because one other thing we could possibly use, I do have the Adobe suite. And so, we have After Effects, we have Firefly, which is video, audio, music creation, image generation. I've got Adobe Pro. I've got 4,000 credits a month, I guess, or something that I guess I should use that I haven't used. So, so that's something else that we could use. All right. So then after the edit page, you get the picture edit done, and then you're going to do the sound. Well, actually, I think the next page is actually color, which that's what everybody knows Resolve for, is for being a color grading app. I don't expect that this AI agent will be able to do, excellent color grading. But what I would like to see is that she can quickly set up color grading for me to come in and do by eye. That she can add lots of things where they're supposed to be. And possibly color balance things by looking at waveforms. Is that something that could be done? Maybe she could color balance better than I can. If I shoot, I typically shoot with a chip chart. I've got a little Video Passport color chart thing that I will typically shoot with. Can she get the color chart tool lined up on that and use that correctly? I don't know, something. But anyway, so there's plenty of things there to do in color. Then next is Fairlight, which is the, actually I think next is Fusion. But Fairlight is for audio mixing. So setting up buses, mixing things correctly, looking at the levels. Fusion, I don't expect her, again, to do giant complicated Fusion projects, but things like subtitles, captions, or motion graphics, or even just like little zooms and stuff like that. Sometimes it'll probably be easier to do as an effect in the edit page. Sometimes it might be easier to do as some sort of transform in the color page. But things that are maybe more complicated, or removing something or adding a special DaVinci Resolve plugin, I don't know. Maybe the Fusion page needs to be brought into that. But I don't expect we'll use that too much. And then the last one is delivery. It's okay, we kind of ran out of room because there's not going to be much for Fusion or delivery. And the delivery page is just exporting the files so that they are ready to use. So this is pretty much going to cover the whole process if we can figure these things out. Another thing that I just realized out of DaVinci Resolve is DaVinci Resolve now has MCP stuff built in, and I forget what that stands for. I'm guessing something machine something protocol, but basically it allows LLMs to talk to each other, it allows software to talk to each other, allows software to talk to LLMs, that sort of thing. And so DaVinci Resolve now has a bunch of MCP stuff built in. So some of these things might actually be kind of easy to do by connecting with some of the built-in DaVinci Resolve MCP stuff. So this is something that I need to research. So that's one of the first things I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to research some of these things. So let's see. I'm kind of out of the time that I wanted to spend tonight, but I don't feel like I got far enough. So I'm going to spend just another. You know what? I have an alarm that's been going off to remind me to take my evening meds, and it's going to go off in another 2.5 minutes. I'll do, and it's a 9-minute snooze. So I'll do 2 more snoozes on that. That's 20 minutes from now, and that should be enough time to get something covered, and then I can check it off my itinerary for the day, which will release some more dopamine right before I go to bed. Okay, so MCP is something that I want to research. You know what? I have color markers here. Let's use the purple one because I bet I haven't used it much before. Oh, the lid came off really easily, so maybe this is all dried out. No, that's actually kind of nice. All right, so MCP is something that I need to research. And actually, Firefly, I was just looking at it today. I need to research that also, so we'll mark that purple. Okay, so project create and open. Let's start there. Under this, there's going to be create a project, open a project, open an existing project, folders, cloud versus local. And, when you have a cloud project, there's an owner, but you can collaborate with other people. So like my friend Rachel, she does real estate stuff. I've shot some video for her. So I share a little repository with her. So I pay for the space. She just has a free account. She doesn't have the paid version of DaVinci Resolve. She doesn't pay for Blackmagic Cloud. I'm paying for the space, so the space is paid for. She's a free collaborator. So I think she can create the stuff and just use that shared space, I think. But anyway, so I create the project and host the media there. I pay for the space also. And then that's in the the overall project that's shared with her, the album that's shared with her. So she can open that project and look at it and download the proxies, upload more media, whatever. She can create a project in that album and send it to me in that shared space. And here's the first news. Okay, so this is the first question that I have here is, should I create a Blackmagic Cloud account for Ann Black? Which would also mean then an email for Ann Black. I'm definitely going to create an email for her. I create emails for my team. They do not accept emails from anybody but me. But it allows me to, or from each other, but it allows us to send each other things. Beatrice goes through my email, and when she sees receipts, she forwards them to Andy. When she sees, the grocery order, she forwards that to Colette so she can enter that into the inventory, things like that. So I have emails for us all, but so I'll definitely will create an email for her. So purple will be research, and then blue will be to do. So the email is definitely a to do. and I need to research about having a Blackmagic account for her because the way this works is if she is using, I don't think I can be logged into 2 instances of Resolve at the same time, I don't think. And even if I am, I would lock myself out of different folders by being in them, or I guess if that makes sense. So if she's editing, I want to know it's her that's in that folder, I guess. So as long as it doesn't violate Blackmagic's terms of service to have, essentially a fictional email address or a bot or whatever, having a free account, then we'll make an account for her. So that way, when she logs in and creates things or opens things, her name will be attached to all those actions. So if something happens, I'll know who deleted it or who did it or whatever, right? So, which by the way, that is another great thing, which is a deletion policy. And I'm going to put trash only. This is something that I did with my email. And I noticed that as she was deleting emails, as we were first starting to go through them, she wasn't moving them to the trash. She was straight up obliterating them from the server, never to be found again. I was like, hey, don't do that. Like when we delete something, we just put it in the trash. And I'm glad that I did that because a few minutes later, she deleted 1,500 emails all in one swipe. And I was like, I don't think we created enough rules yet for you to do that many at one time. And she was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I'm still not real sure why that happened, but I think it might've been a computer use thing where she was trying to do something and accidentally selected all and then hit delete or something. But anyway, luckily they were just moved to the trash. And so she marked them all as unread and moved them back into the inbox, and we had to go over some of them for a second time, but that's obviously preferred to losing them forever. So we need a deletion policy for projects, and we'll need it again for media as well. So if she has her own email, that I can create her own Blackmagic account, and then she can do all these things on her own and own those. And then I'll know when she's in the media pool or in the edit page, I'll know what timeline she's in, what folder she's in. And if I'm locked out, I can just send her a message in Telegram like, hey, get out, I need to get in there. Okay, so then media needs to be brought in. So we've got ingest, and then we've got sort and organize. We've got syncing, possibly could happen here. That might be a little more advanced thing, but I do often shoot dual system, meaning I will shoot video with my Blackmagic camera or even my iPhone. I've got a 17 Pro Max. Sometimes I'll shoot video with that, but I will record the audio on a separate, I've got a Zoom H6 where I can hook in multiple sources of audio and have independent levels on each one and all that. And so sometimes I will use that. And then they just need to be synced together. So there's audio on the phone or there's audio on the camera, camera audio to be able to sync with, but it's not really good audio that you'd want to use in your final production. So syncing audio, which is something that can be done in the media pool. Timeline creation, and we're going to start with dailies. So if you don't know, dailies are, they call it dailies because on a movie you would film all day, and then the film, you'd be shooting actual film, and so that would go off to the lab overnight, and they would process it at night and then get it on videotape, and that would come back the next day. And so at the end of the next shoot day, you would watch yesterday's stuff. And you'd want to watch it that next day because while you have the actors and the sets and the locations and all that stuff, if you need to reshoot something or if there was something wrong with the film or the camera or whatever, you'd be able to go back and redo it while you still have access to everything. And because you're getting it the next day, that's why they call it dailies. So now we just use it to refer to our raw footage. The raw footage that we get back, whatever we shot, I come back and I'll look at it. Those are my dailies. And so I always do a dailies timeline, which is just in the order that I shot it in, because in my experience on being on set, that's how I'm going to remember it. Oh yeah, we shot that in the morning, or oh yeah, we shot that in the afternoon, or oh, we went to this place after we were at that other place, you know. And so I want to have at least one timeline where if I'm looking for something, everything's sort of in chronological order based on the way that we shot it. And then from there, I'm going to get to an assembly edit. An assembly edit is literally just what it sounds like. You're taking everything that you shot and you're assembling it very loosely in the timeline. So, oh, all this stuff is from scene 1, here's scene 1. All this stuff is from scene 2, here's scene 2. All this stuff is from scene 3, here's scene 3. And it's not really cut and it's not really chopped up much. Maybe you're lopping off like, you know, the slate and like the camera focus getting set or whatever, but you're leaving everything pretty broad. You're not really choosing takes or anything just yet. You're just kind of getting everything in a timeline where it can sort of be looked at. And you're not watching every single frame that you filmed, but you're only watching sort of the meat of what you filmed. Based on the assembly, you'll start making choices. Once you have something that kind of looks like what your final is going to look like, it's we call that a rough cut. And it's rough because, you know, the audio hasn't been done. There's no colors, no music, any of that stuff. It's not finished. Your transitions aren't done. You might have you might have the same line 2 or 3 times in your edit. Because you haven't picked which one you want to use yet or something like that. So it's not going to be a finished edit by any means, but it's much different than an assembly. It's not just stuff dumped in the timeline, but now it's like, no, now it's starting to take shape. It's starting to look like. And so rough cut is sort of a broad term. So very post-assembly can be called a rough cut, and almost finished can also be called a rough cut. So it's sort of a wide range. And so the assembly and the rough cut is where these guys start coming in here. The assembly and the rough cut. So I think the cut is where we do the assembly and the rough, and then as we do more rough versions is where we get the edit page coming in. And then at some point, and I'm going to put this in green if I have a green marker. Oh, I do. Green. Because at some point, I need to see it. So, okay, now I'm hitting snooze here. So next time the snooze goes off, that's it. We're done, right? Okay, so this is the point at which now I would step in and take a look. So I would love for her to be able to do all these other things all the way to the end. And we're going to get her to do all those things. But sort of a minimum viable product is to get her to create a project and or open an existing project, ingest the footage, sort and organize it, sync any audio that needs to be synced, create a timeline, one for dailies, and then create another one that's an assembly edit, and then duplicate it and start doing rough cuts until we get to a point where she says, okay, I think we're pretty close. Why don't you come look at it? I want this to be the middle of the process, but really, we have to really get to this point or I don't have a product. I mean, even I guess even getting stuff into the media pool, just even that is a help. But for it to be really useful, we got to get to here. She has to be able to do up through a rough cut. And again, I'm not doing feature films with this. I'm not doing short films with this. What I'm doing with this is social media videos. Okay. So I mentioned before my buddy that has this space related site. I'm doing some videos for him. I'm recording them. We're trying to use as much AI as we can just for the process and the logistics. But in terms of someone being on camera and those videos doing well or being able to be monetized, you got to have a human being. You got to trust the person that you're looking at, right? So I'm learning about this space stuff as I'm doing it. The scripts are written by AI. I'll rewrite them or I'll just sort of read them loosely. I need to understand what it is that I'm talking about, or else I can't record it. So I'll back and forth the script some. Once I feel like, oh yeah, this is a pretty good thing, then I'll copy that script out or that beat sheet out or whatever, and I'll put it into the teleprompter in the Edits app. That's the Instagram's video recorder and video editing app that they have. So I'll bring it into Edits and I'll put it in the teleprompter and I'll hit record and I'll read the script or loosely refer to the script or read the bullet points or whatever, and I'll record the video and I'll go back and record a couple parts a couple times or whatever, and I'll have a very loose one long uncut video. I'll be using my good mic, so there's not a lot of audio to do, and at least in terms of cleanup or whatever, but there will need to be a lot of editing to do. Stutters removed, pauses removed, restarts removed, picking out of 2 or 3 takes, that sort of thing. So what I want to be able to do at that point then is export that video into a certain place. So that's the other thing we need is where are we ingesting from? Ingest. And we have several options here. Anyway, what I want to be able to do is when I'm done shooting those videos, put them wherever we're going to ingest them from. She ingests them, sorts, organizes. There won't be any syncing to do with these really, but creates the timeline, makes an assembly, makes a rough cut, and she can do the rough cut based on the script. So that's the other thing, is she needs to bring in the footage and the script. And I'm going to put music here also, because there are different options that we can have for these, and we need to figure out how we're going to deal with them. So the footage can go into Dropbox, or it can go into Blackmagic Cloud. So, or can it? Can I upload that directly from my phone? That's something that I need to research. Because one thing I can definitely do is export it on my phone to my camera roll, and then it'll eventually sync to my Photos app, but for whatever reason that takes a long time sometimes. So what I can do though is I can save to my files on my phone, and I have Dropbox, on my phone, so I can save it to a Dropbox folder somewhere. But Blackmagic Cloud might be a better way because it brings it right into Blackmagic, right into Resolve, but I just need to research that. Then the script is almost always going to be in Notion. But I'll just have to tell it where. It'll just have to know where to find it in Notion. So again, these space-related videos, all the scripts are done in a certain format, and they're done in a certain organizational structure. I have that whole space project in Notion, where it's more than just the videos. There's other things in there as well. Anyway, the scripts are largely in Notion, but I guess they could be somewhere else. So I'll just put Dropbox for here also, because even if it's a Pages document, I'll put Dropbox iCloud, because if it's a Pages document or a PDF or something like that, it could be anywhere on the computer, but it'll probably be in Dropbox. If it's a Pages document, it might be in iCloud. But most of the time, these scripts are going to be in Notion, if there even is a script. So I'll just put a script question mark, because there might not even be a script, right? Okay, and then, so I need to make a Dropbox folder. So that's a to-do. I'll put that in blue. I guess I should make a little key here. So blue is to-do. Green is me. And purple is, which is kind of a hot pink, is to research. Okay. All right. I know a lot of this text is probably too small for you to see, but I'm talking through it. I'm doing this mostly for me. Nobody's watching anyway. It's fine. All right. Music is going to come from either Firefly, or I have a website called Audio with 2 eyes. It has really great music written by humans, as far as I can tell. Yeah, the music's really good, and it's royalty free. I've got a year-long subscription. I can download whatever I want. It's got licenses and all that. I guess the artists get paid when I do that. I don't know. Really don't know how that part works. Um, I would love for artists to get paid, but the whole system has to work. I'm not going to create 10, 20 times more work for myself for some artist to get $3 or something, right? Okay, that's obviously not worth it for either of us. So Firefly audio, and maybe there's some other local or internal. And I'll put LLM, but what I really mean is a model. It obviously wouldn't be a large language model if it was a music model. I'm going to research those. I've already got Firefly up here to research, but I want to specifically research, not if it can do music, because I know that it can, but I want to figure out how is she going to get music out of Firefly, I guess is what I'm asking. I guess that's really what I'm saying here too, but anyway, so that's kind of the same thing. Audio would, I guess, be computer use, but it's like, how does she know what to listen to? Or do I pick the music and tell her, yeah, you can use these? Or do I give her an album, use any of these are okay or something? Do I put notes in there that tell her what to do? I don't know. I have to think through that. So I'm going to change audio to audio. What do they call it? Is it an album? Yeah, I forget what it's called. We'll call it an album. It's like a folder or portfolio or something where you can, if you're listening to music, you can be like, oh, add this to that playlist kind of thing. Playlist, maybe that's what it is. Anyway, so I will create an audio playlist, maybe. So that's it to do. All right, running out of time here. So she brings in the script, she brings in the footage, she compares those things. She syncs the audio if need be. She creates the timeline. She does dailies, assembly, rough. So we need a naming protocol. So I'm just going to put another box down here called, there's my final snooze. So I need to wrap it up here. So I will finish on this. So we're going to call this nomenclature, which is one of my favorite words. And we'll put timelines. We'll put bins. I'm going to call it nomenclature.md. I don't know that we'll actually make a document called nomenclature.md, but there are certain things that we need to, project titles. I'm even going to put media files, because when you make an agent like this, you don't just make the agent to work with what you're doing, but you quickly figure out, oh, I've got to change some things. I've got to change some things the way that I do them a little bit to help the agent. So could I just shoot the way I normally shoot and everything's sort of untitled or whatever? I could do that. Or if we establish a procedure here that's going to help her ingest this in the best way, then I'm going to go into my Blackmagic camera app on my phone and I'm going to rename the prefix and all that stuff. So, according to whatever we figure out for this nomenclature, so that it helps her ingest it properly. I'm going to figure out how to name things on my Zoom device or whatever audio recording device I have to make sure that it's easy for things to sync. I'm going to use time of day time code and make sure my clocks are synced roughly, to make sure that at least files, will show up as being made around the same time. Even if it's not jam sync time code, if I have a slate or if I have audio to match up with, then it'll be able to look and say, well, this audio and this video were created roughly around the same time. So do these match? Oh yeah, they line up and here they are synced together, that kind of thing. So in addition to creating the process, we also need to create how to name things, if that's something that will matter along the way. Stuff like that matters less and less with agents and AI stuff, but it still matters. So we'll stop there for tonight. So we've got the first half mapped out. Not going to worry about this just yet. What I want to do this week is I want to build all of this. And I've got some test projects that I can do. My friend Rachel has some YouTube videos for a client that she's working on, and she just needs a really long interview cut down to like 15 minutes. That's perfect for what we're doing here. She also is cutting out, she's using some pre-existing apps like OpenClaw or whatever to cut out like social type videos. I know that there are apps and services out there, Mosaic, Motion, which is kind of the same app made by the same people. It looks really cool, does some really cool stuff. I haven't bitten the bullet and dropped the coin to try it out really yet. Looks like it can do some very cool things. Looks like I'm trying to recreate, I guess, some of that here. Um, but even there, I'm not in Resolve. I'm editing in whatever sort of their online thing is. I think their stuff will export to like a Premiere project or a Resolve project or something, which is pretty cool. But even so, like I just I want to figure out how to do it on my own. I want to figure out how to do it on my end. I've seen a guy on X that has basically built something like this. It's a sidebar that he has open, and he just types to it and it edits with him as he works. Um, so I guess it's a similar kind of thing that he's built. I'm wanting this though. Again, I'm focusing on the social media content first. Because another thing, just for myself, I want to make stuff like this. I don't really want to shoot it in the kitchen. I'm just doing that because I just had to film tonight, and this is where it happened. My office in there actually looks really nice to live stream from, so I'll probably live stream from there in the future. Um, but I'll be live streaming silently from Starbucks and things like that once I get this narrator pad working correctly. But but I want to be able to record things like this, but then I don't want to have to do anything with it. But the fact of the matter is, unless there's something interesting that's chopped out of these and put on TikTok and Instagram, nobody's going to come watch these longer things because they won't realize that there's anything useful here for them. For most people, there's not anything useful in these videos. But for anybody building AI stuff or wanting to learn some basics or wanting to sort of scratch the surface to see what's possible with AI, I feel like there's some value here. You can watch this, and even if you don't know exactly what I'm doing, you go, okay, I see how he's building this. I see how he's putting this together. So anyway, so that's enough for tonight. But what I'm going to do then tomorrow morning is I'm going to live stream again from Starbucks silently, and I'm going to have this image, the first half here, the top half of this, and I'm just going to start. I'm going to do some of the things that need to be done. I'm going to research the things that need to be researched, and then we're going to start. We're going to make our agent, and we're going to start building her, and then we'll start building it just skill by skill. I mean, basically each of these is a skill. Create project is a skill. Create project folder is a skill. Create, open project is a skill. We could probably call it just the project home screen skill that has all these things in it. But I don't know what she wants, but I'll ask her, how would you like to do it? Do you want really tiny granular skills for each thing? Or do you want one big skill that covers a whole bunch of stuff? And we'll figure out what the best way to do that is. We'll use a mixture of 5.6 sol high and x high. We'll use Fable 5. We might use some Opus 5. I hear Opus 5 is pretty good sometimes. But I've got Fable, so why would I use Opus? So we'll use Fable and we'll use sol high, and we'll see how far we can get implementing some of this tomorrow, because my goal for the end of the week is to take Rachel's long YouTube videos, is to take the first of these space social videos that I've recorded, is to take these live streams that I've done and create a project, bring the footage in, and chop it up enough that at least I can sort of massage it and finish it. And then next week, start adding the rest of this. So Lord willing, that's the process. I am now going to check off the first one of these here. Well, it says create Anne Black, but which I really didn't create her. But I did do this moment. So I guess actually I'll check this one off, and we'll circle this one for tomorrow's work time. And now it's time for me to close out the day. And got almost everything done today that I wanted to get done. So nobody's watching, but if you are, or rewatching later, thank you for watching. And these will be more and more interesting the farther along we go. I'm learning. I hope you're learning with me. And thanks for